Hi, my name is Xiong, and I am a master student in the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, Guangzhou. On behalf of my co-authors, I'm happy to present our paper, To Reach Unreachable, exploring the potential of a VR hand redirection for upper limb rehabilitation. People with motor impairments commonly adopt rehabilitation therapies to regain strength and control over their impaired body parts and may help them fully or partially restore their motor ability. Therefore, conducting rehabilitation is critical for patients' recovery and ability for independent daily activities. Currently, various therapeutic approaches have been explored for stroke patients. Motivation improves performance in rehabilitation and is a critical determinant of outcome. Exciting methods will cause frustration, tediousness, and lack of motivation because the patient cannot perceive their improvement directly. VR has been widely explored as a rehabilitation interface to promote patient motivation in different ways. They enjoy the games like lifting or catching stars in VR. The potential of leveraging VR's customizability to tackle the self-efficacy difficulty challenging encountered in real-world rehabilitation remains underexplored. Hand redirection in VR brings the exact synchronized movement between a patient's physical hands and the corresponding virtual hands in VR by modifying the visual movements of the virtual hands. With hand redirection, the hand movements of patients with motor impairments can be increased such that they can accomplish seemingly more difficult tasks. Appropriate offsets may inspire them. Conversely, offsets that are too large, leading to loss of a sense of ownership, may lead to loss of motivation as they feel that they are being offered unnecessary help. So this technique has the potential value to increase their motivation while they perceive their own progress. As mentioned before, it is important to increase patients' motivation and effort in rehabilitation while retaining the sense of hand ownership. As a promising technique for rehabilitation, hand redirection is primarily conducted with able-bodied people. It is little known about how people with motor impairments perceive hand redirection in VR and how different hand redirection techniques might improve their motivation in rehabilitation. Thus, our research question is, how do different hand redirection techniques affect the effort, motivation, and sense of hand ownership of patients in VR-based rehabilitation? To study this question, we conduct an empirical user study at a local hospital with 11 participants. A VR-based rehabilitation exercise application with 3 hand redirection techniques is implemented. During the study, patients with upper limb impairment are instructed to reach targets in VR at various positions using their effect arm with and without hand redirection. 3 different hand redirection techniques were tested in the study: pre-offset, scaling offset, and post-offset. No hand redirection is used as a baseline. The virtual hand moves exactly as real hand in this condition. The pre-offset technique offsets the virtual hand from the physical hand by a fixed offset towards the target, regardless of the real hand position. By bringing the effect hand closer to the target, the pre-offset technique makes it easier for patients to succeed in the target-reaching tasks, potentially increasing their motivation to engage in the exercise. The scaling offset techniques scales the position of the virtual hand based on the real hand position from the original position. With a scaling factor larger than 1, it enlarges the virtual hand movement, making it easier for patients to reach the target. Similar to the pre-offset, this might encourage the patients at the cost of low training efforts. However, as the task is becoming easier, this may come at the cost of reduced training efforts, harming the therapeutic effort. To resolve this problem, we propose a new hand redirection technique. We propose the post-offset. Unlike pre-offset and scaling offset, the displacement between the virtual hand and the physical hand for post-offset is only applied when the physical hand approaches its maximum reach, which is recorded at the beginning of the training. As the physical hand reaches a threshold close to its maximum reach, a gradually enlarging offset is applied, extending the virtual hand toward the target until the offset reaches a present constant displacement. Here are the details of the study design. We designed a within-subject study with two independent variables, hand redirection technique and hand movement direction. The parameters for the hand redirection techniques are configured such that the displacement between the virtual and the physical hands is the same across all offset conditions when the user reaches maximum reach in designated direction. No hand redirection is used as a baseline. However, hand redirection effectively reduces the test difficulty by reducing the required travel distance of the user's hand. To understand the effect of a hand redirection with tests of the same difficulty, we included a second baseline, no hand redirection with reduced difficulty, in which the target is set closer to the user's hand, such that its touch difficulty is the same as the three offset conditions. After a short-time warm-up, participants were directed to perform specific movements involving their hands reaching, flexing, and horizontal abduction to the fullest extent possible. We record the maximum reach at this period. Then we select the hand redirection techniques in a random order, but the participants are not informed the hand redirection techniques. During the rehabilitation exercise, participants were informed that their mission was to reach the radar, and if its color changed to black, they would consider it a success and should return their hand to the initial position. We record the travel distance of hands in this step. In the results, we use this to assess the patient's performance. After the exercise, the patients rest and take up the VR headset between each condition to complete the questionnaire and answer the Likert scale question. They report their sense of ownership in this step. Then they need to complete other hand redirection techniques in determined order. Based on our results, we combine the data from participants and open coding interviews to investigate how hand redirection affects people with motor impairments in effort and performance, motivation, and ownership. This figure shows how the effort of different hand redirection techniques on effort is measured by the travel distance. ANOVA results show a significant difference among different hand redirection techniques. Among all conditions, participants spend significantly higher efforts in offset conditions, comparing to the baseline. This means hand redirection can increase patients' efforts in reaching tasks during rehabilitation exercise when the task difficulty is the same. Participants spend significantly more effort in rehabilitation exercise with post-offset compared to other offset conditions. Also, visually more difficult tasks lead to higher efforts. Participants reach farther with hand redirection than the baseline condition with reduced difficulty. Reduced task difficulty resulting from hand redirection can lead to low efforts. It is more difficult for participants to reach the target in no hand redirection condition compared to offset conditions, as hand redirection effectively reduces the required travel distance of the hand. These results show that reduced test difficulty results from hand redirection can lead to low efforts. Two-way repeated measures ANOVA results also show a significant difference in the participants' effort to reach the target between different movement directions. We conclude that participants reach farther in the depth direction. This is because the participants can learn forward their body to compensate. Compensation is common because people with motor impairments, as it is necessary for completing most activities of daily living, so we don't forbid it. We also have some findings from the interview. When we asked how they believe this system could help them enhance their motivation, almost all participants saw that hand redirection could enhance their motivation. P4 said, "I feel frustrated when I cannot reach the target, so I want to be helped." And P5 said, "It is better to deploy hand redirection. This can improve my confidence, because my confidence comes from completing tests. For long-term rehabilitation, this will also improve my motivation." We find participants hardly notice hand redirection. When asked whether they noticed that there was displacement between the real hand and the virtual hand, only 2 participants said they did. During the interview, 2 more participants said that they noticed the displacement, but they didn't report it as they were unable to articulate their observation, so they chose to disregard it. When asked how do they like these techniques, 2 participants have no preference. SP4 and P8 said, all methods are great because I can reach more targets. Most participants preferred post-offset for 2 different reasons. Post-offset could enhance their endurance. As P3 said, I want to be helped at the end when I cannot reach the target. And P6 said, in post-offset condition, the hand is reaching to target slowly. It will build up my endurance. And post-offset also encourages the participant to try harder. As P5 said, help me at the end is a better technique because there is an unexpected value that I will not easily give up. Other participants gave us additional comments. P5 said the system should incorporate haptic feedback. He told us the environment is great in the rear, but the appearance of the hands is not real enough. The haptic of hands is also lacking. When I cannot feel haptic from my disabled hand, I try another hand, but I still cannot feel anything. We also find this phenomenon in other participants. This participant also gave us feedback compared with other devices in daily rehabilitation in the hospital. Another participant, 6, said, young people may be less likely to accept the hand redirection. They may not easily accept this method because they are sensitive to the help from the machine. But participant 9 disagrees with that. He is only 23 years old and he said, I play so many computer games, so I can notice the difference between this VR training and other training. According to our research questions, we conclude that hand redirection improves their motivation and effort during VR rehabilitation exercises. People with upper limb motor impairments can hardly notice hand redirection. Due to limited time and resources, each participant only experienced the VR-based rehabilitation application for less than only 1 hour, which is too short for any noticeable therapeutic outcomes. Future work can investigate long-term effect of hand redirection on therapeutic outcomes. Further, application environment and equipment parameters interface the efforts, and we select the reasonable parameters for VR-based rehabilitation exercises with hand redirection by testing with able-bodied people. These parameters are not optimal for patients. Finally, participants also give advices for improvements, such as haptic feedback. We can also consider different tests for different groups of patients. Improve the system's interaction and investigate optimal parameters of the system for rehabilitation is so important and can be investigated in the future. And this is our work. Thank you for your listening.